Hey, what's up, guys? I know it's been a while. It's been almost probably about 2 years since I made my last video about anything, and I'm pretty sure that was about core, which isn't even a thing anymore. But I kind of want to give you guys an update video and just kind of talk about um, just what's been going on for the past about like month for me. Which, if you guys have been paying attention to any Paragon related news, to, like channels like Britick, etc., all those other like Paragon news outlets, you obviously know about the OverPrime tourney, and I was a part of that with Team Carbon. We just won yesterday, and it was a really fun experience. I kind of just want to catch you up on Overprime, faults, just the entire landscape, where I'm at, and kind of how I feel. As I played a pretty decent amount of hours in Overprime, I'm going to kind of go over just everything regarding the game and just where I'm at and where content's going to be because I'm planning on just actually creating content again, whether it's guides or just really anything. I really want to get back into the space because just playing the tournament really made me miss uh, being able to make that content and really be able to help people and stuff like that. So obviously, we won, and in the background, what you'll see is my jungler's POV, Blood Mortius, obviously. I think Felix or Shanks, who won PEX, was also streaming it, so make sure to check out both of their VODs and check out their streams. They don't stream as often anymore, but you'll probably catch them playing some odd game here or there, or maybe just playing Overprime when it's with the boys. So I'll put their stream links down in the description below if in case you somehow don't know or didn't know that they streamed. So let's just talk about the tourney. So the tourney actually had a cash prize, which I was like really surprised about. I felt like it was pretty unnecessary, but obviously it's cool, right? It's some kind of monetary incentive in order to actually get good at the game and all of this. And honestly, the thing I was most impressed about with the tourney is really just how it affected people. Pubs became a lot different. It's a very tight knit community in Overprime simply because of it being peer to peer, as I'm sure you know if you follow the space. But it's been a really good experience just as a whole. The tourney. Were there hiccups? Yes. Were there hiccups that should have been addressed? You know, much sooner than how they got addressed. Yes. But at the end of the day, I think for a team of 5 people who basically just do this for the love of what Paragon was and all this stuff, Soul Eve has done a pretty good job, barring some of like the tournament conflicts and stuff like that. But besides the point, tournament was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Uh, if you guys are kind of curious about Overprime, or maybe like you've never really like made the leap because of whatever numerous amounts of barriers that the game has in terms of hard to install, connecting to a game is just awkward, unintuitive, and just honestly can make people like anxious just because it's weird. The whole IP thing's a little bit weird as well whenever you try and join people's lobbies. So I don't blame anybody for not playing this game simply because of all these factors. What I can tell you though, because a lot of this is operated on like faith, right? Like if you're someone who really is into faults or into predecessor, you are quite used to just operating on like on faith, where it's like you just trust that these people are going to do right and do well. And I can tell you from my personal experiences with Team Soul Eve that these guys have their head in the right place and have their heart in the right place, and they genuinely care about the game. And whenever we brought up concerns, they do get addressed quite quickly, faster than I really expected. And these guys really do work the hours and do put in the time. And I think there will it be a great game? I don't know, but does that have the potential to? Yes, it does. Now, I don't know about the other projects because I simply haven't worked as close with any of them. I've not seen anything or done anything with Predecessor, and with Fault, I've done very little testing whenever it was like the paid opt in, like alpha or beta, whatever it was, like 6 or 8 months ago. That was my experience with Fault. In terms of since I said I played Fault, I might as well just talk about like how the game actually feels. And to be honest, the game actually feels pretty tight, pretty smooth. It just whenever you auto attack, like you can feel the feedback. It feels nice. Like whenever you're auto attacking Twin Blast or Murdoch, it actually feels like you're shooting a gun, right? Whenever you have the Grux Mallets, for instance, you can actually feel the weight behind each hit. It feels like a lot of the tech side, obviously, they are copying one-to-one assets, but the tech side, they've really done a good job and they made things feel good. Now, servers are obviously on the way. When we played this tournament, it was not peer to peer. It was on a tournament realm, AWS, the same servers that Fault runs on, and the servers are incredibly good. It's really just about implementing them for public matchmaking and all that stuff. But like I said, this is one of those things where it's just kind of a student TM thing. Something we're very used to and very annoyed with as Paragon fans. But it it will come. Obviously, we did play with it, and it was incredibly nice. So that's probably the biggest edge I would say OverPrime has, is really just the general feel. Like it just feels good to play OverPrime, in terms of like your character and all this, and it's something I really valued on Paragon. Now, we can kind of start talking about the state of the game, and that's where obviously I do have my issues. If you're curious, I was playing Soul Lane in this tournament because obviously, at Blood Mortius, we basically had two junglers, but I came in late to the game while they were already playing. I was like, whatever, just put me in Soul Lane. We do it. And the state of the lane is very, how do I say it? It's very, the, there is and there isn't variance in the lane simply because of the way that like minion aggro works and some of these other mechanics. But it's like there's nothing you can do to manipulate minion aggro, but also like the caster minions is so important in terms of like what it does to the wave and what it does to your trading patterns. Simply because the caster minion does so much damage. It's quite akin to like Smite in that sense. If you've ever played like Smite, soul lane or mid lane or even dual lane, I guess like it's all the same. And so do I have an issue with it? Like, yeah, on some level, but it's not the biggest deal. I think the biggest issue that I have with minions is the fact that they're a little bit inconsistent in terms of aggro RNG. I don't know why they aggro onto some of the minions that they do. There's no like real conceivable pattern. It's not like closest. It's not like anything. Like sometimes it's just if the minions just start hitting your caster and your caster dies, like it all of a sudden like changes the way that the wave plays out because the caster does so much damage. If that makes sense. I don't know how else to explain it without like showing it to you, but there is like some weird RNG elements that come into it almost. Is it the biggest deal? No, but it's one of those where it is quite annoying. And there's some other gameplay things that just like are not really the most fun. I would say the game is a little bit too hard to close out, and I feel like that's just because our neutral objectives just simply aren't good enough. And also the item system is not entirely fleshed out, although is it better than Paragon's? In both states, yes. It's better than the original cards. It's better than the V42 or whatever it was when we had three cards. It's not a completely terrible item system. We have actives, we have decent interplay between items. It's just how you acquire the farm, and some of the other things like last hitting just isn't really as important because of ambient gold, and there's no gold drip, so it's not like you're getting passive card points while you're just walking around like you do in other MOBAs. If you look at League or Smite, obviously you're just getting passive gold like every 5 seconds or every X amount of seconds. You don't have it in this game, so it makes the gameplay loop like a little bit strange, where it's like you can not CS, like not last hit for most of the wave, and get like very minimal like loss. And while it is an advantage that you can abuse if you last hit every single minion, right? But it's not as big of an advantage to really warrant the risks or the amount of focus and like the actual amount of skill that it takes to do it, so that the return just isn't there. And obviously they're aware of it and they are considering turning it down, but it's just one of those things like in process where it is just like an easy number fix, but they obviously have their own concerns. Uh, but overall, like I've said, like most of the negative things about the state of the game, I think the best part about the state of the game right now is really the fact that you do, aside from tanks, every role feels like impactful, right? Where tank items are really, really bad, but like mages and carries, they both feel strong. They both feel like they need like certain items, while the items aren't the greatest, and that doesn't feel that great. Like it doesn't. Uh, it's still fine and it's still playable. Could it be iterated on? Of course, but it's not terrible, is kind of the point that I'm making. Tanks are in a pretty abhorrent state because they kind of got just hotfix nerf for the tournament because they were too strong prior because of like health regen and like other systems that just don't make any sense getting changed. But overall, the OverPrime is fine. It's just that the pub experience and the comp experience is like night and day. Where pubs basically go anywhere, like a really fast game is just 20 minutes, you end, surrender, whatever. And then the rest of the games are 40, 60. Like it's like very, very long. And I know some people really enjoy that, right? Like some people really like the endless tug of war and all this, but I feel like it shouldn't be that hard to close the game if you are actively trying to do things to close the game. And right now, because of systems like Fangtooth just not really giving you anything, it just gives you a shield and that's it, and 1 CP for whoever last hits it. Like a shield for everybody. It's not like green buff shield where it explodes and does damage. It's just a shield, and it's not really that impactful. And so realistically, without like another relevant objective before orb really comes onto the table, it's basically just you lane for 15 minutes until you're able to take orb and take a convincing pick or fight into that orb, and then use that orb to then start really speeding up the game. But obviously, like in pubs, like you're never gonna experience that. So I kind of ranted on and on about a bunch of different things, went back and forth, and haven't really kept my points like super coherent. But you kind of get the point. There's a lot to iterate on. I don't mean to just rant and give you guys like the bad perspective of OverPrime, but it's just like the reality. Now, I will say that it is fun. Like it is still fun. I might complain about this or that, but I'm still playing the game. It's still fun. I enjoy the people, obviously, and I think it's a really important part if you're wanting to play OverPrime is you just have to enjoy the space and have to enjoy the people. Otherwise, it's really it's gonna be hard since we do have this peer to peer right now. But is OverPrime worth checking out? Yes, 100%. It is worth checking out. It is obviously the only publicly playable Paragon remake, and even then, we'll have to see. Last time I played Fault, I wasn't particularly impressed with a couple of things. Although Fault chose the harder route, I would say, in terms of creating their own animations. Like I said, I back in the older playtest, the game just did not feel that great to play in terms of like the feedback. Like I said, feedback was really important to me in Paragon, and it was the one thing that really stuck out to me in OverPrime. And apparently, Fault has already addressed that they fixed those issues, but we will see, right? I think everyone can agree that it didn't feel the greatest in terms of feedback back when it was publicly playable. But other than that, we shall see. Now, actually, speaking of Fault, I do plan on trying all of these, and I'm sure it's the same with all my teammates. Obviously, we're not like OverPrime only gamers, right? Like we plan on playing all these games and really just playing whatever is the best one, whatever seems like they have the best the best management or the best people running it. Because realistically, we just want it doesn't matter who wins, it just matters that someone wins, you know? And who whether that's Vault, Predecessor, or Overprime, we shall see, but who really cares, right? Like at the end of the day, if any of them are successful, then we all win. But no, that's kind of it for me and like the Overprime tourney. I do plan on making more content, but I am curious about what you guys actually would like to see. Currently, it's either I just create educational content or I'm not even sure. I feel like it would just really be educational content relating to Overprime right now. I don't mind. I've already done a educational stream outlining matchups and what I'm like looking for in and stuff like on my Twitch. I'll put it down. I'll put the VOD down below. It's like a 3-hour VOD. There's like 4 or 5 games that I go into pretty in depth about like what I'm looking for in the lane and specifically the matchup. But if you want more like soloing content like that, I'd be happy to do it. But I just want to get your guys' idea about what to do. But yeah, see you guys.